Welcome back. I just moved, and because I was packing and I couldn't do anything else, I watched the entirety of Teen Wolf in like 2 weeks with my mom, so we got opinions on it. Thank God she came to help me because girl, moving is terrible. I hate doing it. Anyway, and I decided to rank the characters from this show because all of the characters are still fresh in my mind, okay? This was my first time watching it. It is a silly show. I enjoyed it very much because I love nonsense, and you know that about me. I especially love nonsense that makes me laugh, and for the first 2 seasons I was laughing like nonstop. The way that the werewolves run, the way that they look, everything about werewolves, to be honest, is kind of funny to me. I think that they're the unsexy mythological creature that we somehow try to make sexy. I love that for us. I love seeing sideburns and the weird makeup and running on all fours. So entertaining, and I got a couple of characters that I absolutely adore from this show, so it was overall a pretty good experience, honestly. Let me explain the ranks to you real quick. So the top one is Lover.
And we made love.
Self-explanatory. The second one is Great, Iconic, Amazing.
Whoa, this is the best tea I've ever had.
The reason why they're separated, the Lover tier and the Great, Iconic, Amazing, is because it's just like not personal connection with the character. It's just like I like the character a lot. Checking if it's claw marks with your hand. It's a tier that's about annoying characters. Simply put, every single time you watch Teen Wolf from now on, you should start paying attention to every single time they discover claw marks. They discover some kind of damage on either a person or a wall or whatever the hell, and they're trying to see whether it's a werewolf or not. And they go like this, like they spread their fingers and they go over the spot to somehow let us know that this is claw mark. We can see that it's claw marks. I don't know what's going on and why it was done every single time, but I swear to God, it's gonna either annoy the hell out of you or be really funny. To me, it was kind of both. So it's a tier that kind of, has both in it. The next one is season 6B and movie jail.
Girlfriend, stop! Get back in the car!
Self-explanatory, not canon in my mind. Don't care. You guys, I understand that there's a lot of you who were actual fans for a really long time, so you're gonna have different opinions on this. I'm not gonna fight you on this. And the last one is I don't care to rank you.
I have standards.
Because I realize with all of these tier lists that there are just a lot of characters that I do not give a fuck about, and I will put them in that category. And if you're wondering to yourself, why didn't you talk about this character? You'll see their picture in that tier popping up as we go along, because I'm not even gonna dignify them with my time. Like, please, the Alpha Twins. I do not know which one is which from these pictures. Both are going into checking if it's claw marks. This straight one, I just do not like him. Straight up. Second of all, he was making fun of Styles and his love for Lydia. Thankfully, Lydia wasn't entertaining it, and she was like, put down the picture. I'm still annoyed about that, and also like I don't care about them, honestly. The gay one was a little bit sweeter, so I kind of like him more, but it's not saving his ass. Like, he's still going into the annoying tier. Allison's mom, season 6B and movie jail, because she was so annoying. It was very heavy-handed, the way that they were trying to make them very intimidating. I think that a lot of these shows kind of fall into this trap of trying to make the intimidating characters larger than life. They're trying to make them look like they could literally do anything. So they give them a lot of powers in terms of, like, for example, just changing the principal of the school or working as a secretary all of a sudden in the school, having access to like literally everything, all the guns or whatever they could ever need or want, and it never makes any sense. Oftentimes it just makes the world a little bit more claustrophobic than what they're trying to achieve. It's a problem for most of the teen shows that have this supernatural element to it. Even one of my faves, that's Buffy, still has that feeling of, yeah, it's the end of the world, but like I don't really believe you about it. It's just not grand, and it's not even because of the special effects or the locations that they're using or something like that, but it's because of how the world building is way too weak to sustain itself, to actually explain why something like this is happening or how it's happening. And it's mostly about the amount of people that are involved and the amount of power that these characters have, while also being extremely childish and stupid and running around with their nonsense problems of their relationships. Those two are always gonna give that dissonance, and that's not like fixable per se in those types of shows, because you do want to have that fun teen storyline going on the side, so it's always going to be a problem. Allison goes into great, iconic, and amazing.
Whoa, this is the best tea I've ever had.
I mean, I'm not obsessed with her. She's probably going to be at the bottom of great, iconic, and amazing tier, but I still really like her because honestly she does have something endearing about her. I do think that both her and Scott have something endearing about them. Is it ridiculous in the first episode, like how quickly they're getting intense about each other? Yes. However, they kind of make it believable when they go into this season, like they go deeper into it. Scott himself, when he's like smiling with Allison or whatever, like he has something endearing about him, something cute, which kind of makes it a little bit more believable. The cheesiness kind of works because of what they look like, because they have something cute about them in terms of their looks. They're not just attractive, they also have something adorable. I do like her as a character. I think that they fumbled it a little bit with the way that she like switched. I think it was a good idea that she switched because of her mom and because of being manipulated by her granddad, but I think it was a little bit clumsy, mostly because instead of her switching sides because of wanting to kill Derek specifically, she started to have a lot of rage and uncontrollable violence towards literally anybody who her aunt was choosing as the target, and later her grandfather was choosing as the target. Boyd is going into lost potential.
Too late, stinkies.
I found him more tolerable than Erica or Isaac before Isaac came to the lacrosse game and decided to help Scott. He was kind of unbearable to me because of how stupid they looked. Like, they were trying so hard to make werewolves look cool and intimidating and all of that kind of shit. And on top of all of that, the goddamn nails. Listen, the nails were not nailing it, okay? Because I genuinely, every time they would do this thing, I was like, was that supposed to be like intimidating? Was that supposed to be like cool? Was that not supposed to make me laugh? Because that's what I felt when I was watching Erica and Isaac just like walking around the school being like all cool or whatever. I was like, you could get rid of them by just looking at them with enough of a stink eye. Like they just didn't give me this intimidating vibe. Erica in checking if it's claw marks or not. It's an interesting idea that Derek was changing people who were sick or needed power to protect themselves or whatever it is. You know, it's an interesting idea. However, Erica, her behavior, it was crazy because I was like, oh, your eyeshadow is like it's snapped. Your hair looks great, but your attitude is not even like it's supposed to be hot. It's just not. On top of it all, this scene with Derek changing her,
you get a warning right before you have a seizure,
really made me feel on edge because the entire time I was like, how old is Derek? Do we know that? Is that like a thing that we know? Is that like a thing that's been confirmed at one point or another? Because we see Derek being 15 and we see Peter with him, and Peter is quite a bit like, he's what, 45 at the time of season 1, like at least I think like maybe like 42 or some shit like that, like somewhere over there, right? If he was in school with Derek at that time, he was older than Derek, but he was still in school, so he was like 17, 18. Is Derek like 30 something? I cannot figure it out, because in the first, like one of the first episodes, Styles verbatim says that, oh, it's Derek Hale.
Dude, I hope you left my inhaler. Those things are like $80.
He was only like a few years older than us, but like which one is it? He's still like inappropriate in terms of age. This girl is like what, 16 maybe?
the side effects,
Oh my god, take your hand off of her fucking jeans.
the symptoms.
Take your hand off of her calves. Do not pull her towards yourself by her legs.
Let me show you.
Derek, I know you're cute, but like that don't matter when you're dealing with the children here. What the fuck is going on? It stressed me the fuck out. I was just sitting there like, oh my god, Derek, she's like 16 or Derek. Put her down. Leave her alone. Oh my god. Father of Allison.
Whoa.
I actually like him, yeah. I especially like that they became allies later on. It really works for me, and I think that with time you really get to see how Argents actually do have something that the rest of them don't. I actually do believe that Allison can stand on her own when she's amongst all of these weird creatures of the night, you know. So I really enjoy them in general.
And we made love.
All right. Listen, I'm not familiar with your game, Teen Wolf Finators, fans of Teen Wolf, I don't know your lives. I haven't watched the show when it was coming out, okay? So I'm kind of out of the loop. So I don't know what kind of reaction I'm gonna get to this video, but maybe this is a controversial placement. Coach is going into the lover tier.
I'm gonna walk away.
I don't know what to tell you. Every single scene he was in, I was entertained.
No shit.
I was happy I was watching the show. And I was just sitting there like, yeah, you know what? It was just a good decision to turn this show on today. This guy is just like screaming about nonsense. And this character is funny as hell. I really enjoy him. And I think that honestly, he's the only character that throughout the entirety of the series, I consistently enjoyed his presence. Even when he was annoying, it was entertaining that he was annoying. Do you know what I mean? The comedy scenes with him are scenes that I like rewatching now that I'm like, you know, sometimes come across a clip or something on YouTube on my homepage. I will always open a Coach doing random shit compilation because it just raises my mood. I don't know what to tell you. Especially I love the combination of him, Scott, and Styles together. Just works. One of my favorite moments is him saying Styles' first name and his conversation with Styles' dad.
You named your kid Styles Stalinsky?
No, that's just what he likes to be called.
Oh, I like to be called Cupcake.
What do you say we get to the conference part of this conference, Cupcake?
I like your thinking.
I think that honestly it's really rare to see characters like a teacher and a parent having a separate scene without the kid being present and that scene being so entertaining and so fun. Those two actors honestly knocked it out of the park. Alright, so this is the first guy from the new generation of creatures. I don't really care for him, unfortunately, and I know that a lot of people love those like new generation, new wave characters. I did not actually enjoy them that much, to be honest. Whenever people introduce this new generation to an already established show, it never works that well, just because you start to see how they're kind of becoming a separate storyline for the sake of like maybe continuing their stories in the next show, and it just always ruins it for me. I'm gonna tell you about some of the dynamics that I do like between the characters, those new ones, but overall I never enjoy that type of deal in any show. Danny is going into great, iconic, amazing, and listen,
It means that my lack of sexual experience is now literally a threat to my life. Someone needs to sex me right now.
All right, I'll do it.
Whoa! What?
Plan to stay the night. I like to cuddle.
That was so sweet. Are you kidding?
I'm kidding.
Okay, you don't toy with a guy's emotions like that.
he's not there for a long time. I think he like just disappeared after season 3 and I do not know what the hell happened. It's very confusing to me. Me and my mom were like, where the hell is that Danny boy? I really liked him. He seems like he's very healthy. Like he's very well balanced, well rounded as a human being. It's kind of like one of those people, every part of their life is in check. That's the vibe he gives me. Like he's very much like, yeah, like he's, you know, partying, whatever, but like it's everything is under control. I don't know. It seems like he's got his shit together. I especially love the Miguel scene.
Who's he again?
My cousin, Miguel.
Styles? This? No fit.
The shirt.
It's not really his color.
You swing for a different team, but you still play ball, don't you, Danny boy?
You're a horrible person.
I know, it keeps me awake at night.
I think it's really funny. They delivered a really great comedic scene. Same with the scene with the virgins, also really funny. I just honestly love to see him in the background just say a word here and there.
Whoa.
I do love the vet. I do like him. He did what he was supposed to do and he was good at it. Like I believed him having this background knowledge and this lore.
Whoa.
Derek is gonna go into great, iconic, and amazing, but I also feel like it's lost potential at the same time just because the way that they went about him is really disjointed and weird. I think his storyline basically ended after season 2. I wish they found a better way of including him because I understand why they kept him around even though his story is technically non-existent. Like technically he doesn't have anything else to discover that relates to the main character, Scott. However, he just worked really well as like the straight man in this whole dynamic with Scott and Styles. Like it was always really, really fun to see them in scenes together. And I think that because of this storyline ending in season 2, he started to be put together into random pairings with random women that they just introduce sporadically. And the reason for it is clearly the fact that they realized he is supposed to be a lot older than the main group. He's supposed to be like an appropriate age to just like hang out with them for no reason, right? So they tried to fix that issue by putting him together with a teacher and then with bounty hunter or whatever she is, and someone else I think too, right? I guess Kate. There's a lot of wasted potential because I think that they should have integrated him more into the main storyline to keep the actor around and to have him actually have a reason to be in that show, to get more of those scenes of them together where it actually just makes sense why he's even there. I think that they should have probably made him younger, a lot younger, if they wanted him to have like an easier time intermingling with the main characters, because making him vaguely 25 to 35 is real, like it's not a good idea, I don't think. He's hot though, I guess. So Malia's mom, she's going to jail straight up.
I have standards.
She's so annoying, just so annoying. That whole storyline, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? Who came up with that? Who in the writer's room thought that this is a good idea? I just want to talk. Boring, weird Freudian shit kind of thing where she's mad at Malia for taking a part of her power, or all of it, honestly. I don't remember which one it is, but kind of ridiculous. What's done is done. You can't be mad at a kid for that. Do you know what I mean? Everything about her was so tedious. I'm gonna be real with you. I skipped most of it. Like I genuinely was just like, oh my god, Gerard.
Alfred, stop!
Just so insufferable. His motivations did not make any sense to me, but I mean, I genuinely do not understand people who are in it for power. In anything in life for power. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that he encouraged and kind of hurried Allison's mom to her death because of their code or whatever the hell, and then asked for a bite. Oh, that pissed me off. I'm sure I don't have to explain it much. I'm sure all of you are kind of like, ugh, yeah, like this guy sucks.
Too late, stinkies.
Isaac is going into lost potential because he had such a sharp change between like before the lacrosse game that he showed up for to help Scott and after. And before he was absolutely insufferable. I could not stand the look of this guy. Like the first scene, obviously, where it's shown that he's abused, it all makes sense. I have sympathy for him. When we find out that he's a werewolf and he's hanging out with Erica, it's just insufferable. Everything they do is so obnoxious. I couldn't stand it. And then he started becoming part of the group and I kind of started to like it. However, his relationship with Allison, I'm gonna be real with you guys, maybe if I was watching it back in the day and I would have been seeing this show one episode at a time with like really big breaks in between, maybe I wouldn't be that much of a hater. But as someone who binged the show and like got all of it at once, I was not vibing with them. I thought the beginning was kind of funny. The way Scott and Isaac were dealing with it was entertaining to, I guess, to a degree. I don't know. I didn't give that much of a fuck, but you know, their connection was just too physical. Like the way that they explained their connection and the way that they underlined their connection was just so, oh, I'm horny type of deal. Which is like, okay, now what? Like, how is that anybody's business? Like, how are we supposed to give a fuck? I guess I could give a fuck if you write it in a way that's really funny or engaging. But this was just kind of like, okay, and I'm supposed to like this, or I'm supposed to root for you, or I'm supposed to want to watch this scene. It was just tedious as hell. However, Isaac's rapport with the rest of the group was entertaining enough for me to start liking him. I wish it did more. I wish it made sense why he left, because I understand that he left because Allison died, but he didn't have that strong of a connection with her yet to completely leave, abandon everybody and leave and whatever. And I know that it has something to do with the actor leaving the show, same with Allison. I think they could have at least mentioned him again. He never reappeared, and there are limits as to how much a story can handle when it comes to real life getting in the way of the story. And I think that with Allison and Isaac, it was just a bit over the top. The fact that they just disappeared, the fact that he just disappeared, it didn't work. It's kind of just as clumsy as they dealt with Jackson. However, with Jackson, because of who Jackson is, I wasn't surprised. Like, yeah, that asshole would just skip town and go to London, live it up, even though he had this connection with Lydia. Lydia loved him more than he loved her. He doesn't love anybody, I don't think. And it's until the last season, we don't even see them actually having this genuine appreciation for each other outside of this weird, addictive or habit driven love, in quotations. Like, I do believe them when he's asking for a key from Lydia and Lydia's like crying or whatever, and then they make up. I believe that they have some feelings for each other, but because of the superficiality and how much Jackson was losing it and how he was so hell-bent on becoming a werewolf, I guess it made it just believable enough. It just seems like something a guy like that would do. We will get back to him because I have a writing thing that I think would have fixed a really huge issue by fixing that one thing.
Too late, stinkies.
So I'm gonna put Jackson in Lost Potential as well, because I genuinely think that they could have done more with his actual like feelings. There's something missing, like one little puzzle missing in his connection to Lydia from his side to actually make it work, that she pulled him out of like whatever state he was in, or that she was instrumental to him transforming into a werewolf, because I think that she was instrumental, like it was insinuated. Catherine was annoying to me. Listen, I did not like that she came back from the dead. Doesn't make any sense. Cheapens the whole thing.
Too late, stinkies.
Kira, if I would have been watching the show back in the day again and I had 2 years of like getting to know this character bit by bit, I probably would have had more fuzzy feelings about her than I do now. I do not think that her and Scott had a believable pairing. I think I would have believed it easily if they set it up a little bit more. I think that they are compatible. I think their dynamic when they're already together is working, but seeing Scott with Allison first and then Kira made the relationship with Kira so underwhelming, and not because Allison and him had like more to go through or anything like that, as much as like he was so into her that it was like obvious. It's kind of the same thing as like with Styles. I don't know if it's Dylan who decided this, Dylan O'Brien, or if Tyler Posey decided this. Like I don't know if this is the guys just like naturally just having more of a connection or more of like feeling in the scenes with those other characters. Scott just kind of always he's got a bit of a brainless vibe to him. He's a little slow, and it's kind of like the norm for all of the werewolves in this show, to be honest. It was making Scott look innocent and maybe naive, but well-meaning, and kind of it really worked for him when he was with Allison, and he was just so puppy love around her. I'm not saying that he needs to be puppy love in love with her, because he's not 15 anymore, right? He's like 17, 18, whatever. This is not his first relationship, so obviously he's not gonna have that much intensity, I guess, in terms of just being melodramatic, but it's about the way he looks at her, and it's about the way he talks about her, and it's everything about it. I just didn't feel like it was on par for me to believe that he actually gave a damn about dating Kira. It just felt like a relationship of convenience. It's not a shade to Kira, because I actually enjoy her character. I really like the backstory. I really like the whole kitsune shit. Fuck it up, actually. But it's just, they just don't have that certain zhuzh. It's kind of like seeing Styles and Malia. It's like, I believe that they're nice to each other. They don't mind each other's presence. I believe that, yeah, that's about it, actually. I do not believe any passion that they're showing. There's nothing here, girl. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's the chemistry between actors. I don't know if it's the characters and the character decisions. I don't know if Dylan and Brian was like, no, Styles is always going to be in love with Lydia and that's it. I don't know. Something was off. But also, getting rid of her entirely at the end of season 5, I believe, was so weird that I don't know what to say. I missed that whole lore, like what happened behind the scenes, whatever. It's just, in my opinion, having a character that's basically a leading lady because she is the partner of the main guy, and then just writing her off so abruptly and not have her come back. So weird. It doesn't make any sense. Narratively speaking, it doesn't make sense in any regard, and the creator of the show shot himself or herself, whoever it is, in the foot by doing this shit, because it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you gotta slow down and like maybe figure out a way how you can work with an actor, even if they are busy or whatever it is. You have got to make it work, because sometimes it's just like so detrimental to your show. Come on.
Whoa.
So Liam, I actually liked Liam. But the reason why I liked him is because of how they wrote him into the show and his dynamic with Styles and Scott. Honestly, after season 3B, I felt like the show lost too much of the comedy side of it. In a show where everyone is running around with sideburns and crazy ass costume makeup, run on all fours, you need to have comedy in it. And I know that season 1 and 2 and even season 3A is nowhere near as good as season 3B because of the whole Styles like storyline. It's also just really annoying to be watching a show that gets so dark when so many things in the setup, in the foundation of the show, doesn't work right. It's not a well thought out world, you're making it a little bit too serious for your own good. You need to keep that kind of momentum going in terms of comedy coming and kicking in and taking you off the edge a little bit, just because it's going to give you a little bit more leeway. If you get too serious, which they did with 3B, like 3B is really good, but then they couldn't keep up with it just because they went too far with no comedy. And that show is just, it's just not built. The foundation is not built to be this serious. There's so many holes, plot holes and stuff like that were built into the story already, that you gotta keep it funny to keep it moving. You know what I mean? Without it getting too melodramatic and like annoying. Liam, Styles, and Scott, their combination is really, really funny, and especially I liked how they parented him when he was turning. Those scenes, comedic genius. Absolutely fucking loved it. Loved the way that the guys delivered their lines, the way that they went about it. Scott trying to copy Derek's words, you know, like the bite is a gift.
We're brothers now. What? Oh God, the bite is a gift. Scott, stop.
That was so stupid of him. So Scott, I loved it.
And we made love.
Lydia, maybe this is controversial, maybe not. She's going into the lover tier. I really like her. And I have a personal little tidbit to tell you about this. But, Lydia, they definitely went too far with just how many things they were giving her while also not giving them soon enough. It's really weird that she wasn't able to use her scream as a weapon until the very last moment. I feel like it should have been there earlier. The biggest sin that they have committed here is the fact that the writers, I don't know what happened there, honestly, like let me know if you know behind the scenes lore, but they definitely had a bit of a push and pull in terms of what they wanted. You can tell, like they wanted Lydia to be in the main group, but they also realized, I think, that they don't want Lydia and Styles together. I have a feeling that they gave them that kiss scene and they thought that it would kind of not do anything or whatever the hell. Like, I don't know. I think that they were kind of like trying to maybe do some fan service, but then took it back or something. I don't know what the fuck happened, but they gave them kiss scene. And I think that they might have gotten too scared that this pairing is maybe taking over the entirety of the show or something. I don't know, but it was such a drastic shift from season 3 when that happened, and then the 4 and 5, both of those seasons, Lydia started to be so isolated from the rest of the group. I think when Allison was with them, it was well balanced because at least she would have been like hanging out with Allison and it made sense. But because they were trying so hard to keep Styles and her apart, that's what it looks like, honestly, to me, that the writers were like, no, we need to keep them apart for some fucking reason. I genuinely don't know why. It's just so wrong the way that they went about it, because at first you can see that the way that they acted the kiss scene. It's like the sun came out. I don't know if it's the actors that gave too much to this scene. Maybe that's what it is, but I don't think so. I think that they did what was right for the characters. However, it seems like the writers just kind of were like, no, it's a no to this pairing from this point on for some reason until season 6. They genuinely botched Malia's relationship with Styles just for the sake of keeping Lydia and Styles separate. The breakup between Styles and Malia doesn't make any sense. I genuinely was like rewatching that scene multiple times. I was like,
are you okay?
Is that the breakup scene? Because they afterwards they just like, they're not dating, and it's never actually confirmed that this is a breakup scene. It was so weird. I don't think that that's how Styles and Malia would have broken up if they would have broken up, because Malia is very straightforward and doesn't have a lot of tact because of her backstory, and Styles is very communicative. Like, come on now. They just botched so many things to the point where it just gives me a headache. I saw I think it was Space Ninja, a video about Teen Wolf, and one of the things that he said is that he doesn't like Lydia and Styles together because Lydia is like mean to him, or like she doesn't have as much affection, or she kind of sees him as like the last option. And I do not agree. I understand what he's saying, that she's kind of mean or whatever, right? I can see that, but I actually think that from the beginning I was kind of feeling like the first season she was not given anything. They were way too stereotypical about her. I totally agree. However, I'm used to giving those characters benefit of doubt because usually they become fan favorites over time because their bluntness becomes like a foil to their other side of their character that's hidden. And the relationship between them and the main characters usually brings out that second part that makes them really interesting. So I'm kind of used to giving them a bit of a benefit of the doubt, okay? Now, with Lydia, starting second season, I already was like, this girl is not simple. She's very, honestly, tortured because of her whole banshee thing. And then when you find out her backstory with her seeing her grandmother and at Icon House, genuinely, she is one of those characters that's probably the darkest in terms of her being like forcefully kept in the darkest circumstances all the time because of her powers. It's kind of like Styles with the fact that he was chosen by the Nagitsune. Both of them got like the darker parts of this whole shtick. They have a lot of similarities, weirdly enough, in my opinion. Similarities that kind of make them sides of the same coin, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like there's definitely like a binary between them that kind of makes them very alike and very different at the same time. It's really interesting. After that kiss, I believe that Lydia did start to have feelings for him. Why I believe that is because of the way that the actors delivered that scene.
It's really smart.
Damn, Alakazam.
Even though we couldn't find any proof of Fevral being there.
Hey, buddy, you've been right every time something like this has happened.
No bomb. I got you in trouble.
Okay. And look, if you wanted to, I'd go back to that school right now and I'd search all night just to prove it.
But the writers are definitely using the fact that that scene is so good to their advantage in season 6, retroactively changing a lot of the decision making that have happened in between those two seasons. I definitely agree that it was rushed. Them getting together was rushed as hell. Was it done in a very romantic way that I think is kind of beautiful? Yes.
You're gonna forget me.
I want it, Mom.
I love you.
Remember.
The biggest issue that I have here is that I think Lydia choosing this random dudes and like having this random relationship with like Aiden and whatever, it just doesn't really work for her character anymore when she's going through so much and she just chooses these guys, spending so much time with those dudes. It just doesn't make any sense. On top of all of that, I personally think that this is where Jackson comes in. They could have had Lydia and Styles if the plan was to get them together, to put them together at the very end, which is oftentimes what happens in a lot of shows for the secondary couple. If that was the plan, if they actually would have been writing for that and the season 3 scene was supposed to be the moment she actually fell in love with him, I think that Jackson being around would have actually been enough of a reason for them to not get together for another year or so, or 2 years or whatever the fuck. It would actually be believable. She actually had feelings for Jackson. Jackson, on the other hand, like he's a freak. I don't know what's going on with him. If they would have kept that actor around, or maybe recast him at this point, like, dude, I don't know if he didn't want to be in it that badly, recast him or something. Like, you can find a guy who looks like him. It would have been very believable that she needed to actually go through this whole relationship with him, because they didn't resolve their relationship. They kind of got them back together and then went, well, Jackson left for London. If the character was kept around, I think it would have been so realistic that she had to go through this whole thing with Jackson, and like she's still in love with him, so it makes sense that she wouldn't be with Styles even when she started to have feelings for him in season 3 and whatever. It would have been perfect. It keeps those two apart without having to actually physically isolate Lydia from the rest of the group. I think it was season 5 where we got all of them coming to the school and Lydia comes up to them and she's like, where have you been, guys, whatever. And I vividly remember thinking at that moment, like, oh damn, wait, why is Lydia alone all the time recently? Her trying to figure out her patterns, how to use her powers, whatever, always alone, or mostly alone. And I just felt so weird. Like, it really felt like she was completely isolated in that moment. It felt incongruous that they're all of a sudden all together in the same room and interacting. And maybe it's just like my perception, maybe I'm wrong. Personally really enjoy this character, but I didn't realize when I was in high school, actually, I forgot that I had my hair tinted a bit red. And I remember that there was like 2 guys who kept on saying it to me. We were like studying for physics together. I think they kept on making, I thought it was some kind of joke or whatever, but I didn't understand the reference at all. And they were referencing this whole thing of strawberry blonde, 5'3", green eyes. I don't have green eyes, but they kept on saying it. And I just now realized they were referencing Teen Wolf.
Damn, Alakazam.
When I was watching, I was like, oh my God. I like had one of those That's So Raven moments, but going back in the past. That's just memory. That's just whole memory, bitch. I used to dress the same as Lydia.
Too late, stinkies.
Lost potential. I'm not one of those people who are gonna be like, I like Styles and Lydia, so I hate Malia, especially Malia with Styles, whatever the hell. No, her background was kind of interesting, but then it was botched. I think that the whole thing with the desert wolf and whatever, it was really tedious and boring and whatever. On top of it all, I think she didn't have as much growth as I hoped she would. I did think that a lot of things about her work, but then some things were just like undercutting her potential. She didn't have a good arc. The breakup didn't make any sense. The way that it happened, it didn't make any sense. If she's your favorite, that's cool. I'm not like against her, but I think that something in the writing was not giving.
Whoa.
I like this guy actually, even though he wasn't in a lot of the show, but I really enjoyed his personality. Like, he's just really chill. I just really liked him. God, this guy with the camera was annoying as hell, but so realistic though, the way that he like reacted to Allison when she said no to him.
Photographers call them candids.
Police officers call it stalking.
Well, get over yourself, because there's another pretty girl walking through the room every 5 minutes.
He like flipped on her and became really weird and violent. I don't know, I had like a feeling of a deja vu when I was watching that scene when she's talking to him at a party or something like that. Just the way that he was acting, I was like, oh my god, like it's giving me the heebie-jeebies, because it makes me think of all those times when you would say no to someone who's creeping you the fuck out, and then he just flips and becomes so psychotic. Yeah, very realistic but annoying as hell. Scott's mom, she's just great. I just really liked her.
Too late, stinkies.
I'll put her in Lost Potential, but it's only because of that scene where she's like, he's not my type, he's my type.
Who's she? She's my girlfriend.
You're not my type.
Well, obviously we have a lot to talk about. Maybe you take this upstairs?
He's my type.
Okay, Isaac can come too.
This teacher, sometimes I was like, maybe he's normal. And then sometimes he would give me the heebie-jeebies, and it was kind of like always flip-flopping. And I was like, I don't know. Something about him is giving me a feeling that he would be like one of those teachers who would hit on you, you know?
Whoa.
So Scott is gonna go into the great, iconic Maisie. He's not at the very top just because, girl, is he stupid. So stupid. To the point where like it's just frustrating. And also I was kind of forgiving it because he's just adorable. So I was kind of forgiving it all the time. Kind of being like, yeah, I'm annoyed, but you're not doing it purposefully, whatever. But after that situation with Styles, he found out that Styles killed someone in self-defense or whatever. His reaction and stuff like that was, it just pissed me off so much.
Maybe you should talk to your dad.
Life is just not like that. You can't just lie down and just take the abuse and call it a day, or turn the other cheek. Like, what? We're not doing that. We're bullying back. If someone's bullying you, bully them back. I'm a proponent of that. Not giving yourself up to the whims of others. The way that he reacted.
You killed him? He was gonna kill my dad.
I didn't have a choice, Scott.
Scott, say you believe me. Say you believe me.
I understand there was like a miscommunication situation, but Silas has been his friend for such a long time. I think personally that all of these benefits of doubt that by he I mean Scott was giving out to everybody in that goddamn town. I think that one person who actually deserved it was Styles. When Styles told you this, and even though you heard some other fucking story version of events or whatever the hell, you should have kept talking to him and asking him questions about it to get to the truth of what happened, and maybe believed him instead of some random ass dude that you just met. All of it is pissing me off, honestly. Like, that whole situation is what's bringing him down into the lower tier than lover tier, because I can't do it. Being a bad friend is like my biggest pet peeve. This is a thing that I cannot forgive in anybody. Having someone who's had your back without superpowers or whatever, had your back for years, okay, years, and you wouldn't give him the benefit of doubt, not even trying to figure out if he's okay and why, even if you believe that version of events where he's being very violent, maybe considering that you know him and you know his heart and his behavior, and like you know this guy, right? Like, he's your brother, as you said. And there's like a very common thing of just, if you come with a body and you need help bearing it, I will, and then I'll ask questions, because you have that trust in that person. Like, this is what that saying means, is that you have so much trust in that person, even in such a drastic situation. You know that there wouldn't be there's no way they would do this for no reason. And this is what pissed me off so much and like made me so angry at Scott. I simply could not see him in the same light anymore. Yeah.
You're Yoda, I will be.
I said it backwards.
Yeah, I know. I definitely still hate you.
Girlfriend, stop!
I can't stand Lydia's mom. At first, she was okay, I guess. But the more I saw her, and especially the Icon House situation, that completely took me out, because first and foremost, her mother was killed there because someone literally drilled a hole through her skull. Her daughter saw it, by the way, too. She decided to put her in there for treatment. And then when they're trying to get her out of the Icon house, she sees them at the end when they actually got her out. And she's like, oh my God, somebody take my child out of here, or whatever the hell, something along those lines. And I was like, bitch, you put her there. Why are you acting like this was something that was done by somebody else and you're just finding out about it? Why are you acting like you just found out about the drilling into skulls? It literally was done to your mother and you've seen it. You saw it happen. You saw her die from it. And you're acting new. You're acting brand new. You're acting like you were born 5 minutes ago. What's going on? Genuinely explain that to me, because I don't get it. She sucks. Peter.
Whoa.
You know what? I'm gonna put him in Great Iconic Not Lover only because this guy was brought back too many times to the point where I was like, if it's Peter again, I swear to God, like, you can be fucking serious. Do you know what I mean? But he's so entertaining. His motivations, the motivations of that character are too messy. Scott's dad, annoying. Styles' dad, just like with Scott's mom, I absolutely love him, except for the cop shit. Listen, military, the police, it's always gonna give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Sorry, not my thing. Other than that, really like him. That moment when Styles was gone and Lydia was trying to trigger his memory and was telling him about him and whatever, that was very endearing. I really loved it. Very well delivered by the actor. Loved the comedic scenes between him and Styles. It was really well done. Honestly, it was always funny as hell. I will always love to see that scene of, this is not your type of club. Well, Dad, I think we need to have a talk. You're not gay. I could be. Well, not dressed like that.
It's a club. We were clubbing.
Not exactly your type of club.
Well, Dad.
You're not gay.
Well, I could be.
Not dressed like that.
That will never not be funny.
And we made love.
Styles, simply put, he is number one. I don't care if this is typical. I don't know if it is, but I think that he was probably like one of the most well-liked characters, I think. I love him, straight up. And it's crazy because I liked him through the entire series. Usually male characters, I only like them in snippets, and there's a lot of buts when I kind of say that I like a character. I really like Styles. To all of you people, oh my God, recently I mentioned that I really like Styles and someone in the comments was like, oh my God, liking a mid actor or whatever the fuck, and I was like, first of all, I know this character, I do not know the actor, okay? Do not talk to me like I know the actual personality and the personhood of Dylan O'Brien. I don't know that man. I don't know his life. If he's done something, I haven't been keeping up, okay? Now what? Anyway.
Okay, because I have somebody I really need to talk to.
I really like him. Maybe I'll pick a few characters and talk about it, about coming of age stories and this dehumanization that is kind of taught through media, Western media specifically, where you guys are fed this idea that wanting to stick with people that you already like and enjoy and wanting to be friends with them for life is like a pathology that needs to be overcome. I really dislike that trope in American media because I think it's very dehumanizing to the people who are watching it and to the characters. The way that Styles was like trying to keep them all in each other's lives and they were kind of not with it. Like they were kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, of course we're gonna be friends, whatever. But then the way that they were acting, the way that the show framed it, when he got together with Lydia, there was definitely that moment at the end where he is shown to have kind of outgrown that need to be needed, which I think is just weird as hell because you should want to be a part of your community. You should want to be needed. You should want to be the one to rely on, and wanting people around you that you can rely on as well is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I just don't understand this approach. We need to talk about this in a separate video in like more of an essay kind of form because it's very disturbing to me that this is like a part of coming of age story in every teen show and whatever. You find a partner and then everybody else, you're gonna have other friends, and it's really childish of you to cherish your relationships. Like, it's kind of weird. It's weird to be showing that, I think. Overall, I really enjoy his character. He's really funny, adorable, and I'm actually team buzzcut. I mean, I love the other hairstyles, don't get me wrong, but I was just surprised that people are always into his later seasons look, and I'm like, the buzzcut is so cute though. It's adorable.
Do you find me attractive? Happy birthday!
Okay, so I know that some people like Theo. He's entertaining sometimes, and also this actor, for the first time I've seen him act, because in PLL, he's like Arya's brother. He's never done anything there. Do you know what I mean? One note type of performance, which did not make a lot of sense to me. I definitely liked seeing him actually act and be more human-like in this show. He's never actually come close to being like one of my favorites, and I know that there are people who like him, I think. He's entertaining, I guess, but he's also annoying. Avoid Styles. I'm gonna put him in I don't care to rank you.
I have standards.
Listen, Nagitsune, great storyline. Best storyline. So many people told me when I said last time that I like Styles and I was on season 1 or 2, they were like, just wait till season 3. I was thinking, I was like, why is everyone saying that? They were like, oh my god, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love him in there, whatever. And I had such a hard time watching 3B because you get to spend a lot of time with Nagitsune, but not a lot of time with Styles. And the time that you spend with Styles, he is miserable because his whole reality is falling apart, and you just feel so bad for him that I felt like there was like a breath of fresh air when season 4 started, because I was like, oh my god, I missed Styles. Because it's just too much misery. I felt really bad for him, and it was really hard to watch him so like miserable. I feel like his friends are just like not quick enough with the responses and with paying attention to him. I don't know. I just felt like he was a lot better of a friend to everybody else than they were friends to him. Thank God Lydia fucking remembered him in season 6, because goddamn, yeah, Nagitsune is a great character, but by the end of this season, I was like, I just miss Styles. I just miss having his presence, of him just being there. And yeah, he's like a bit darker and more solemn after that whole thing, but I don't know, it's just depressing to see such a good character suffer this much. So he goes there. I don't know. We'll talk more about it if you want me to. Ask me any questions. Sometimes it's so nice to talk about nonsense, eh? Instead of political and socioeconomic state of the world. See you soon. Bye.